Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Damien Verbe, curator of the Workplace Ninja Front community. Workplace Ninja Front is a community organized by Jerome, Mathieu and myself, whose goal is to let people sharing their knowledge, feedback, or everything around the modern workplace. The idea is really to let people, everyone speaking, including those one who have never spoken in public. And today we are delighted to welcome two awesome speakers, Roddy and Jürgen, talking about Intune troubleshooting. Let's go.
All right. Thank you, and welcome to this session on Intune troubleshooting. First of all, big thank you to the French user group for reaching out to us to deliver this session. We are always excited to be presenting at user groups, and this is actually, at least for me, I think it is so for Jürgen, the first time we deliver something in French, even if it's virtual. And unfortunately, neither Jürgen nor I speak French, so we have decided to do this session in English. I can say that I also run a user group in the Workplace Ninja in Denmark, in the same brand and under the same umbrella. So it's always nice to have the opportunity to deliver session in the Workplace Ninja family. Can you click the slide, Jürgen?
Yes.
Awesome.
That's what I do best, actually. So
today, Jürgen is my clicker. Well, first of all, my name is Ronnie Peterson. I was a cloud architect or cloud consultant at Pento in Denmark. I've been a Microsoft MVP for 15 years now. And with me today, I have my good friend from Sweden, Jürgen.
Yes, and my name is Jörgen Nilsson, and I'm working in Malmö, Sweden, really close to Denmark. Just I can see the bridge to the promised land outside my window, basically. I'm not sure it's promised though, but yeah, I can. So, and if you have any questions afterwards, just reach out and we'll sort them out. So, we do this session now and then, and we always change the content because we run into new problems and old problems resurface, and it's we have crazy amount of things we like to talk about, and it's I just realized it's strange that you actually can get excited about troubleshooting subscription-based activation, which is probably one of the most boring things in the world. But it's a real problem, so we'll include that as well today in this session as well. So this is what we'll try to cover.
Yeah, sorry? And we will most likely not get to the end. We usually don't do that, but if we don't do it, we might consider doing a part 2. If I don't think we will rush through everything. We will just take the time it takes, and then we can see if there will be a part 2 at some time.
Yes, absolutely. So let's start then. Remote control. When we do a modern or zero trust client, one of the big differences for service desk, apart from learning all the new tools and new skills, is that it's a lot more remote control than it was before. We need a really good remote control tool. TeamViewer integrates with the, I didn't change that to Intune portal. Damn, it's still endpoint management portal. Well, sorry about that. Quick Assist, on the other hand, is built in, but it lacks UAC supports. It's no logging. Could be okay for small organizations. I use it to remote control my mother's computer. She's 84 and it works great, but I would not use it in an organization due to the lack of logging, for example. It makes forensics really hard. And there's phishing sites as well that want you to open remote Quick Assist and enter a couple of digits so they can help you. So it's dangerous, I would say. So I always uninstall it, but there is a good purpose of it, and that's during autopilot. This worked really well. Then the Quick Assist app was updated last year, and then it broke, and then we got some new nice PowerShell modules that can help us actually. So we can do it again now. So we can ask it's a lot more work, of course, but we can actually get Quick Assist to work in autopilot when we press Shift F10 during the autopilot process. By typing these 3 commands, it will actually launch again. If you try it without it, I don't think it's even installed anymore since the update changed. So there's a blog post how to get there, and if you used another one, the normal Quick Assist one, you have a blog post saying how you can work around the UAC problem as well, if you like to use it still. But Quick Assist, best purpose, autopilot deployment, then I remove it. TeamViewer is really easy to set up. They actually got a new UI last week or the week before for managing it, so it's a bit different. But we still need to have a good remote control tools. There is many more. Microsoft Remote Help is one of them. We're not going to talk about the cost right now, but it's part of the Intune management suite as well. So it will hopefully be cheaper or more worth it when it's bundled with all the other features as a package, right? And it's getting to be really good as well. And it's lacking basically it's based on Quick Assist, but it's lacking. It's having all the logging and auditing we need, right, in the endpoint Intune portal. So that's good as well. But you really need a good tool, right? I have a very old customer and a good friend, I must say. And when they started moving to modern devices, they said, well, this is a problem, right? We need to solve this. I haven't spoken to an end user for the last 3 years, and I'm not about to start now to troubleshoot. You need to give us an option to solve remote control or solve remote admin and remote troubleshooting. The big challenge we had with this was before November last year, because we didn't have a domain profile in the firewall for a modern or zero trust device. We only had private and public, but that's changed since November's updates, if I'm not mistaken. So we don't need to script it anymore. We always love labs. So we always recommend using labs. Use modern labs until Microsoft is, there's a community solution. It's always much better than to spread around credentials that have permissions on many machines. But this is a big change in how we troubleshoot devices, right? We need a good log reader. CM-Trace is not free, but it should definitely be all on modern devices as well, because it will help us read the few log files we have. So I would say deploy it to all clients. Yes, it's included in the Intune MEM license, whatever we like to call it. And I hope that's still there after the rebrand. I haven't checked actually of Configuration Manager, but the license is still there, so it should be fine. And I deploy it to everything because it doesn't really matter that it's there, and it's a great help as well. If we want to do some more troubleshooting that's more advanced, to be able to see the actual sync ML messages coming down to the client or the XML, we started using Wireshark, Fiddler, Netmon, but then Oliver Kieselbach released a tool called Sync ML Viewer, which I like a lot because it's easier to use. And we can actually use this as well to see when I do a sync, exactly how many messages are coming down to my machine. We can see which messages is, and we can see potential error codes in here as well, if there would be any, right? So we can see a lot of things in here that's really useful as well. So we can see apps, we can see health attestation, we can see manageability, we can see policies coming down, and we can see a lot of things and see when it's happened. And actually, one of the things I like about it is actually to see that something changed, because many times you update Intune, but you don't know when it actually hit the device, the change you made. So we can actually see that both even if it's a new one, hopefully you'll see the number, but we can see it here. So I urge you all to test it out if you haven't used it, because it's very useful. I'm not sure if I had an application in here. I don't think so on my machine. It's a bad example though, unfortunately. But we can see applications coming down. If you do like autopilot, if you're troubleshooting autopilot registration of already deployed devices, you will actually see the hardware hash in clear text in the message as well coming up. So it's actually a good thing as well to use that one, definitely. So I really recommend that you check that out. I have some screenshots on it well. So here you have, for example, when it converted my machine, you have the hardware hash coming up. We have an web application coming down. So if we're wondering, oh, my application didn't install, where is it? We can always see here that it at least tried to install. You always can see that in the event viewer as well. But we'll still see that something happened, that the new assignment actually was delivered as well. So we can use it both for simple troubleshooting as well, and you get the message status back as well for like code 200 in this case. So it's really good, I would say. Makes your life easier, right? Ronnie, do you want to talk about log files? And you're muted, Ronnie.
Oh,
you're not muted, Ronnie.
I'm not muted. Let me just share my screen. I think this one. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Log files. Well, as a configuration manager admin for more than 20, maybe 25, I don't know. I don't remember any more years. I am a big fan of log files. So therefore, let's start by looking at what's available if we are running in the modern world. It's really hard to troubleshoot without these log files. And the client log files in Configuration Manager is all in the same format and usually stay stored in the same folder. That's not necessarily always the case when we are talking about an Azure joint device that are managed with Intune. So let's look into what's available. Intune has this really great built-in feature that allows you to collect all the log files from the device, so we don't have to go and grab them. That's really nice because many of the things that you really need when you're troubleshooting a modern device is, in different places, event logs instead of normal log files, and something is in the registry, and something that you can only get to by executing commands. So this diagnostic is basically collecting everything from the device and making sure that you can download it locally. Not only will they collect all the Intune log files, but if you have a co-managed device that is managed by both Intune and SCCM, it will also collect all the SCCM log files. It does support all versions of Windows that is in support, so that's really nice. So I think the most important part is that you make sure that your firewall rules is allowing the URL to actually upload the log files to Intune. So let's go into a small demo here where you can actually see how it works. Let me start by just looking at the tenant-wide settings where you have to go in and specify the device diagnostic. And the first thing you need to do is to make sure that you enable that the devices is allowed to upload these devices on corporate managed devices. This is only a feature that is available if the device is a corporate device. And you can also configure automatically capture diagnostic if a autopilot process is being or is experiencing any issues and is failing, then it will automatically upload the log files for later troubleshooting. It's really super easy to use. If you go in and find a device inside of your tenant, you can go in here. Let me just start by searching my devices. I have a device here. And as you can see, I have this functionality up here in the top where I can collect my diagnostic file. So just by clicking this one, I will start the process, and you can see that it has been initialized. And you can also see now that it is in a pending state and the time it was executed. This will usually take somewhere between 5 to 10 minutes, depending on, well, a ton of things. But usually within 5 to 10 minutes, you should see the file. I just, to save some time, started this process on my device, on one of my other devices yesterday, just to make sure that we had something to look on. And all the diagnostics will be saved inside of this node here, and it will be stored for 28 days. So if you collect this information and come back within the 28 days period, you will be able to see the files in here. So here you can see that this is the user that requested the log file. It has been completed successfully. It was initiated yesterday at 8:43, and you can see here it was uploaded. Actually, roughly, what is that? Almost 6 hours later or so. So sometimes this is not a what do you call it, real-time experience. Personally, I think it's kind of an issue, but most of the time you will actually see it within a few minutes. But I actually didn't notice until now that it was actually taking so long time. But when it's ready, I can download it. It will be downloaded locally to my device in the download folder. So if we just give that a few seconds and open the folder here, you can see that I have it here. I actually downloaded it yesterday and extracted it to save some time. So let's open the extracted version. And here you can see a ton of information, registry keys, output from command lines, log files, and folders with files. If you go to the website with the documentation, you can actually see what is being collected and what the file name is called. So if you need information about what's collected, you can get it in here. One thing that I really want to highlight is the files and folders that is being collected automatically. And as you can see here, it's collecting the SCCM log files. This is only the log files that is in that direct folder. So if you have some custom scripts where you are redirecting, let's say, software applications, PowerShell app deployment toolkits into a subfolder in this location, these files will not be collected. It's only the .log files that are in that direct folder. So just be aware of that if you want to collect these files. There's a ton of great information that we can see in here. Let's go for some visual stuff that is fun to look at. We could do energy report and battery. Since I'm on a desktop computer, I don't want to do battery, so we can do, what can we do, network. If I go into the VLAN here, you can actually see that, well, I'm cable connection, so I don't have any events, but I can get all the information about my user, my device, and all my network adapters, including a UI-friendly output of network configuration, IP config, NetSH, my VLAN settings, and I can even get my certificates and actually all my Wi-Fi profiles. So if I go down and scroll a little bit here, you can see that I'm connecting to different Wi-Fis, hotels, guest networks, all that settings, including actually the passwords that's stored in here. This is actually Microsoft. So I can get that information right here, but I can also get it inside of the output. So if I scroll down a little bit, let me see if we can find something interesting. I have my VLAN output here. So here you can actually get my Wi-Fi profiles in clear text, but in an ordered and readable manner. And you can see what's coming, policies, and you can see where I've connected manually to these devices if I need to troubleshoot that. And we also have the certificates. So if I wanted to see what certificates that has been applied to my device, I can get the information here. And I can also get, all the event logs. I want to troubleshoot policies, if I want to troubleshoot applications, basically everything that is on this device. Registry keys from when the device was being provisioned, autopilot is all stored in here as well. So really, really nice if you want to or need to troubleshoot a device for whatever reason that you need to look into. Helpful for the supporter. Hopefully they don't have to wait 6 hours every time to get the log files. But yeah, you know what I mean. It's really great tool. So
and
let's move on.
This is a great example as well to have in your support process as well. So when first line
Absolutely.
support escalates an error to second line, before they do that, they trigger the collect diagnostics information from the device. So when second line gets the errand or the ticket, you already have the data in the portal, so you don't have to wait when you need to troubleshoot it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's important again to train and create these processes for our modern devices on how to use the new tool set we have for troubleshooting.
Exactly. And I think Microsoft has added the bulk action for a maximum cap of 25 devices in order for customers to not automate, to just basically pull out every information in every morning just in case they need it. So, but if you wanted to, you could probably
Ronnie, you are mute.
Hello?
It's good. It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I was muted. I don't know why. What happened? Well, as you can see, this is just a screenshot for reference. So if you download the slides afterwards, we will publish the slide on GitHub and send you the link. We can do it in the chat after this, so you can download the slides if you need it. But here you can see if it's in a pending state, failed state, or completed state, and what it looks like. And this is the guide to what you need to do if you want to download these log files. So, configuration process. So let's say that you are applying a policy to a device or some users, and you need to troubleshoot it. I have this scenario that we will walk through, and where we will try to create a policy and apply it to a device and see where it ends up in the registry and how it gets to the application, etc. So in this case, we have a Microsoft 365 app policy that is basically doing two things. It will enable the automatic updates so we can stay up to date, which is super important. Also, hopefully you have all deployed the Outlook security update that was released last week. That's super important. And you can also set the, in this case, we have set the update channel to do the monthly preview channel. And what we need to do in order to understand how the process is, or in order to troubleshoot the process, we need to understand how the process is working. So basically, it's just like a group policy. So when you create a policy and the policy is being processed by the client, it will write the value that we put in the policy into the Intune registry in the machine. So that's the first thing we will check. And then the Office application is built to actually look in that location to see if there is a registry setting, and then it will honor that setting. And Office has a built-in functionality that will, schedule once every day, check for updates if there are anything available, and we can trigger that to run manually, or we can wait 24 hours. So we'll probably do it manually. And then we can force the synchronization, and everything should be good. So let's dig into what's actually going on here. So if I go over to my Intune tenant again, and I go to my Windows devices and go to configuration profiles, you can see that I have a few policies in here. And the policy that I want is the Microsoft 365 app settings for all devices. And as you can see, I have some conflicts, but that's just because we are also testing Windows AutoPatch, so just ignore that for now. But if you look at the configuration settings, you can see that I have two settings that I have configured. I have some zooming issues here. Try again. And you can see that I have this enabled updates, and then I have set the update channel to current preview. So basically, when that happens and the machine has reported in that everything is great, Then I can go to my device and go to the registry. And inside my registry, I should be able to see this. So let me just go down here. So if you go to the registry and go to the Microsoft Policy Manager providers and do the provider ID can be found under the ADMX installed. So you can see actually what's installed on the device here. You can see all the custom templates and policies that have been applied to my device, and you will only see one thing in here. So if you don't know what provider you're looking for, you can find the ID here, and then you can scroll down under providers, find the device, and then you can see the settings that has been applied. In here, you can see that we do have 2 Office that is on my device. So basically, it means that it has got some kind of policies applied to it. So that's really great. So let me look at the first one. And the first one, well, let me do this one first. The first one is basically just enabling automatic updates. And you can see that's enabled and everything is great. So that's good. And the other one is specifying the update channel. So the update channel in this case is the first release current. So I can see that it has actually picked my policy and applied it to the registry. So the next thing is that when Office is because Office can of course fail as well. So if the application is working, it should be capable of reading these values and put that into the Office settings. And if we scroll down to the Office settings under the click to run, let me just do that. So software, Microsoft Office, click to run and configuration right here. And then you will be able to see that the update channel and the CDN has been updated to this URL. This is actually the correct URL. On the slide, I have the references for the different channels, but this is the thing that I'm looking for to see that we get the right updates installed on this device. So the final thing that I need to do is actually to go into my my task scheduler. And if I go to Microsoft and under Office, you will see that I have this Office automatic updates, and you can see that it will trigger the next time tomorrow at this time, and it has been launched earlier today. So that's really nice. What happens if I trigger this is that it will go out and check if anything on that CDN is nearer than the version that is installed on my device. So basically, it's the same thing as a local share. So in this case, I will just run it manually just to make sure that everything is good. And then hopefully I won't get a prompt ask me to reboot Office if something has been released. But if I go into, let me just do PowerPoint here. I have it somewhere here. Yep. Let me see if I can move that over here. If I go into Files, Count, and go to this one, you can see that I am up to date. So that's a good thing. And you can see that my current version is the March version of Office, which is really nice. And I'm also on the current channel preview. So apparently the policy has been applied successfully to my device. So basically this is reverse engineering the policy process and see how it's actually affecting your device. And if everything goes wrong, of course, you have to troubleshoot what's causing this. And usually it's old policies, conflicting policies, or something in the registry that needs to be cleaned up. Let me just go back to my slides just to make sure that I have everything that I said. This is a screenshot of the policy and all the registry settings. This is just a reference. Everything is great. And if you have an update available, this is the end user experience. I'm not sure that they will get the tasks manager pop up, but the Office will ask them to shut down whatever they are doing. Office will be updated and they are good to go. And they will get this notification that update has been installed and you can now use your Office apps again. So that's really easy and user friendly. So really good. So next, Jürgen, it's you. You have all the time in the world to talk about subscription-based activation.
It's crazy that you actually like to talk about subscription-based activation, right?
Well, it's I've never understood why you love this so much, but I guess it must be a Swedish thing.
Yeah, I assume so. Well, basically, subscription-based activation is basically when you assign a user a license in Azure AD for which includes a Windows E3 license. So it could be a Microsoft E3, Microsoft E5, Windows E3, and so on. And it will actually do a step up from Pro to Enterprise when I log on, and that's extremely simple to do, right? We purchase our autopilot devices with Pro on them, we do autopilot, and we log on, and then we get them converted to Enterprise, right? They are reactivated every 30 days, and each user can activate 5 devices. So what are the challenges here? Let's say I'm away for 30 days, and then I go back to the office, and I turn on my computer, and then I go and grab a cup of coffee and talk to my colleagues I haven't met for 30 days. When I go back and log on to my machine, it has stepped down to Pro, because I haven't been logged on for 30 days, and then there is no license. And why is this important? Well, apart from some of the security features, we also have the patching, right? That's how we initially ran into this, because we could see that machines didn't install updates from devices or for Windows 10, because they said that they didn't need them, and that's because they were Pro all of a sudden, and then you only have 18 months of patching, right? So that's when we saw it the first time. So what happens with the shared device then? Well, if I have a shared device, so I log on, I have a license, Ronnie doesn't. I log on to Ronnie's device, then it will be converted to Enterprise. Then Ronnie logs on, and 30 days later it will be Pro again. So if we have shared devices, either all users must have a license, or there is a registry we can use to have it to stay on KMS or Mac activation. And that's the tricky part, right? All devices will automatically migrate from Mac KMS and AD-based activation to subscription-based activation when a user logs on with an assigned license. This also goes for hybrid join devices as soon as you have a synced account and you log on. We see basically every customer we look at have devices that has done step down to Pro. Because with the rules we talked about before, it's basically inevitable that will happen. We also have this nice little pop-up showing saying that, whoa, there's a work or school account problem. We need to fix your school account. Select here to fix it. I'm going to be nice today and say that one of 100 end users will actually click that link. I'm not sure that no one actually will, but let's say that 1 out of 100 clicks it. If you don't click it and you have enabled, because this is a typical sign where you have enabled conditional access with MFA for all cloud apps, for example, and you haven't excluded a Universal Store app API. Well, actually, this dialog requires you to exclude these as well, or have them in a different way. So you can have them requiring that it's a hybrid join device. Then this dialog won't show up, and then the device can still talk to Intune and actually still work as it should and activate itself as well. We work together with Microsoft. So that's actually that the store Universal Store Service API is actually added everywhere now. So if you go to conditional access, require MFA for all users, there's a note saying, if you're using subscription-based activation, please note that you may want to exclude the Universal Store Service app, API and web app. And the same if you look at the documentation on how subscription-based activation works. If you scroll down to like page 17, there's a disclaimer saying that if you're using MFA, please make sure to exclude this to make sure your devices can activate. So that's something that we see a lot. Then we have the shared devices scenario as well. We also have other scenarios, and this is this little dialogue here, right? Stay signed into all your apps. I call it evil because this basically, again, if we're talking about the probability that our end users are making the correct choice, in this dialogue, it's always, this dialogue will pop up from Outlook, PowerPoint, Excel, remote desktop, Windows 365 client, and so on and so on. This little checkbox is always checked, and OK is the pre-checked value if I just press enter. The correct thing to choose is actually no, sign into this app only. Because what will happen is that, or we can do it this way. Let's do something more fun to explain the problem. If I go to on my modern device, I go to settings, accounts, user access worker school, and I have my account added. And then I say, well, I want to add another account. And then we'll take like, let's say we take him instead. Like that. Then it says, no, stop. Your device is already being connected to an organization, and your device is all being managed by an organization. The problem is that, let's see, this dialogue doesn't really care about that. So it will still add that work account there. If I have a bring your own device Windows 10, it won't even be able to sync with Intune anymore because it doesn't know which token to use. Windows activation will fail because I have 2 Azure AD tokens to choose from, and it doesn't know which token to choose. So it will also fail. So we need to block this as well. Subscription-based activation basically is there's a couple of components involved, like the client, the clip service, which actually is the responsible for renewing the license, but all the licenses are renewed through the store. That's why the store API must be open so we can actually access it. Here's an excellent example. If I look in the store, when I get this error here, I look in my store event log, it says single tenant ID expected for AAD users. All AAD users provided in the request are expected to be associated to a single tenant. So that didn't work. And I also had a Microsoft account. So then it says we'll only say that service fault, cannot activate Windows anymore. So there's many things that can trigger this as well. Basically, this is the same slide, but yeah, reminder that it's reactive every 30 days, 2 scheduled tasks that triggers it, license acquisition. The renewal is done using the store API. We also have a great, and we can block that workplace join by saying we don't approve workplace join. Then that dialog to register a device is not shown anymore. So that's also something we recommend. If I want to collect this information, then I like all these commands because I can just write the command which you hardly had time to see, license diag -cab, and where you want the test cab, and then we get all these files where we actually can send them to someone else to troubleshoot, or we can troubleshoot them on the device ourselves. So this is actually a great one here. So I can see, for example, DSReg, how is my device registered at this time? Which tokens do I have? Is it user enrolled? What state is it in? So I get all the information I really want in these files. And as you can see, we get the task scheduler, we get the Windows Store, we get the client licensing, the clip log file as well. And we can see all these things we need to troubleshoot. So again, if we create our own tool to troubleshoot, or for service desk, or if we include them in this how they work, they can actually collect this information for us, and it's also collected in the information Ronnie showed before. So it's actually really, really useful. I love all these commands that will collect it for us. So that was like really fast on subscription-based activation, and you need to do something about it, because if you check, I promise you have machines that's been stepped down. What I normally do is I do a proactive remediation, which checks the Windows 10 SKU, I call it. I need to change the name as I have Windows 11 now as well. And if I look at the device status and the output, I will write it shorter as well. But here we have one that's not enterprise, for example. That's actually my ARM device. I'm not sure if it's interesting why it hasn't done step up. I will check. And here's another one that's also stepped down to Pro. Here's another one. So it does happen, right? If those devices been turned on without anyone logging on for 30 days, could very well be. But you need some way to at least monitor it, so you know, and so you can be proactive. Some of the reasons are hard to automatically remediate depending on which error it is, but still. Enrollment, Windows enrollment. Well, the first thing we always do, and that's the same in every scenario, what you do with Intune, make sure you have a valid license to the user that is assigned. Otherwise, policies won't be applied. You won't be able to enroll. You can't delegate permissions in the portal if you don't have any of the administrator roles, only RBAC roles, and so on. So it's there's a lot of things that then a license solves for us as well. This is also interesting. If you do a hybrid Azure AD join, and you use co-management, co-management will make sure that the computer enrolls using a device token. If it fails with the device token, it will revert to the user token. And that's that's something to keep in mind as well. So if we look at one of my devices here, we can see that it says enrolling device with register device management using AD device credentials. That's one of the only scenarios where we actually can use device credentials to enroll. So if we use group policy, we must use user credentials. The user that signs on must have a license. If we use co-manage, there is no license check anymore. So we can use the AAD device credential instead. So, and that's because of the license for Intune, and to enroll in Intune is included in Configuration Manager. So that's why. And then it will go over to user token, and depending on MFA setting, this can also fail. There's also an interesting one, and that's the enrollment restriction called all users. I've seen this so many times as well, because it's called all users, but it's assigned to all devices. So I think a better name would be like everything or something. Because what we see a lot is that, no, wait, all users are not supposed to enroll. And then you disable this for all users, and you enable it for specific user groups. Then all co-management registration will fail, as you turned it off for devices at the same time. And the custom roles to enroll can only be applied to users and not devices. So this is something very important as well if you're doing that scenario now. It's really, really interesting. This is also, if we're doing enrollment, we see like errors like this a lot, for example, and we have different examples as well. Monitor the enrollment failures. You have the dashboard, which will help you to see enrollment failures. I didn't have one in mind right now. Could have created one. So we need to monitor the enrollment failures here. If we're using Configuration Manager on the other side, and using co-management, then you need to monitor all the enrollment errors in Configuration Manager, because they most likely won't even be seen here as the client throws an error for when you do the enrollment. So hybrid, You must fix co-management. You need to fix all hybrid issues, all co-management issues, and you do that in the configuration manager portal. Enrollment issues, you need to solve here. And for the co-management issues and getting them to co-management, as soon as you start moving workloads, that's critical that you actually move them as well. Otherwise, they won't get any policies. Yeah, this is just a typical error message. There's many more of them. I would have wished that it says this reason here instead. So the end user doesn't call us and say, I have a problem. The error code is 801C0003, as we actually have the reason down here. So it would have been nice, as the end user don't know what to tell us when they call us. Yeah, the enrollment limits doesn't apply, which also is not very common knowledge when you troubleshoot, is that the enrollment limit restrictions, if you say that you're allowed to enroll 5 devices, it's not applicable when you do co-manage, group policy, Azure AD, bulk enrollment, autopilot, and device enrollment managers. Then you can have like how many you like. So it's basically only for all the bring your own device scenarios, where I register my own iPhone, for example. Client health. This is, I'm not sure if this is actually great or if it's only cool. But if we look at what's happening right now, we're going to a hybrid or more modern device. And if we have information like this, let's see if we take one of that one, maybe. That's co-managed. We actually have information like this, again, for the first line, maybe. So they can see that, okay, it's healthy. If it's not healthy, pass it on or do this workbook or whatever you like. So it's, again, I think it's great that we surface this so it's visible for the end user, for the service desk user. So it's easy to see and to know what to expect. So that's how I see this as well. Just to know that the workloads are moved and it's actually healthy. If it's not healthy, move on with move it on in the chain, right? Like Ronnie's example here. Ronnie, WFB and safeguard holes. What's that?
Oh, yes. Let me share my screen. That's good.
Yes.
Can you see here? Good. I'm assuming you can see my screen now. Windows Update for Business and safeguard holes. I'll say that many, if not most customers, is currently moving to Windows Update for Business to deploy their feature upgrades and for very good reasons. This is much more reliable than it has used to be in the past, and you don't have to build your own troubleshooting handling. So let me just walk you through if you don't know exactly what safeguard hold is. So let me just spend 1 minute on that. Safeguard hold is basically a service that Microsoft offers that will provide to ensure that the quality and the compatibility of the feature updates is being as good as possible when we are releasing new updates to the device. So basically, if they don't have enough information about the specific model, the applications that you're running, the drivers, etc., they will hold it back until they know for sure that it is safe to release the update. So basically, this means that you can go out there and release a feature update or an upgrade to Windows 11 to your devices and be sure that 99% of the devices will actually have a positive and smooth experience upgrade-wise. Of course, if they don't like Windows 11, this is not something that will fix this. But this is basically just holding back on these things until Microsoft has a solution for it. Of course, if the hardware is not supported, they will also be held back on this way. So basically, the safeguard hold data will be stored in your log analytics workspace, and you can access this using the UI or by running the simple query here, so you can see what devices is currently being held back. And this is basically the same thing as you can see here in the black screenshot in the corner. If the user is running an unmanaged version of Windows and Windows whatever feature upgrade or Windows 11 is not currently 100% ready for this device, the user will get this information that coming soon. Once we have enough information and we are, pretty sure that this upgrade will be a success, we will release it to you. So basically, this is what Safehold is all about. So you can also run this update manually on your device. I have a PowerShell or command prompt here, so you can see here. If I run this query on my own device here, let me just execute that. Then you can see that on this device, let me just scroll up a little bit. On this device, I will get this block ID equals nothing. And basically, this is because I don't have any issues on my device. And that's actually a good thing because I'm already upgraded to Windows 11, so no problem here. But you can get multiple error codes or litigation hold block or IDs that will give you some information about what's actually going on the device. These, should we call them IDs or error codes, is not necessarily easy to translate to something human readable. And Gary Block has created this really great tool where you can actually run the script locally and it will translate everything from a database into something human readable. And I have recently worked with a customer where we have deployed the feature upgrade to a ton of to plus 20,000 devices. And of course, we also had some holdbacks. And these are some examples of some of the issues that were identified. And as you can see, both of these were related to drivers. The first one is something to do with the microphone and the voice recorder app. And it's not necessarily giving you, this is exactly what is wrong and this is exactly what you need to do. But this is something that will lead you in the right direction. And here you can have this device with integrated blah, blah, blah. Needs some attention, and that is causing Windows feature upgrade not to be installed. So the first one was basically to update the driver and in some cases also update the firmware. The last example here was the printer driver that is built in with Windows, and it couldn't be upgraded automatically, so we would just remove that printer driver, upgrade Windows operating system, and the driver would be automatically reinstalled again. So pretty simple fixes to solve, but with just an error code, it might have been, an issue to identify what was the fix to this problem. So when we started to upgrade Windows for updates to these devices, the target was roughly 23,000 devices. It took us roughly 6 months to do it. And even if we rolled out the policies to all the devices, we ended up with some very old devices that were not upgraded and did not pick up the policy for whatever reasons. In this case, we had like 1,300 devices that wasn't upgraded, that were on a very old version. So basically what we did is that we noticed that if we just logged into one of these machines and run Windows Update automatically, it actually went smooth most of the time. So we created this script based on the PowerShell module that is on the PS gallery called PS Windows Update, which is basically just the same thing as if you run Windows Update locally, but it's just in a scripted way. And as you can see, that actually took around 1,000 of these 1,300 devices to a successful state. And many of the things that were executed or that was holding back was caused to caching issues or whatever on the local devices. So after running this script that we deployed using Configuration Manager Intune in this co-managed environment, we were down to like 307 devices. So that was pretty nice. We continued to troubleshoot, and we actually identified that some of these machines were misconfigured. Meaning that desktop computers has enabled metered connections. And metered connection basically means that we are not able to communicate with Intune, we're not able to communicate with Windows Update for Business to download the updates. And of course, we weren't able to communicate with SCCM. So we created this script that we ran remotely using PowerShell remoting to identify which machine actually has this issue, and then we fixed it. using this community script that we had to modify it slightly. But basically what we did is that we created the Intune policy, we created a group policy, and we also modified the SCCM policy to allow Windows Update to actually download even if the device was on the immediate network. And then we run this script to actually clean up. Basically what it's doing is that it will create a local policy on the device that will allow the machines to communicate with the management servers. And then when the new policies come down, then of course it was fixed. That was fixing like 60 or 7 of these devices. So that was really nice that we got that fixed. We also saw a ton of machines where we had some registry cleanup to do, legacy policies that were left over stuck in the registry. So we even had WSUS servers pointing at localhost 127.0.0.1, and so basically we just cleaned up everything just to make sure that there weren't any leftovers in the registry. And then we were down to like a very small set of clients, and we actually identified these machines and upgraded them using the data system, which was pretty cool actually, because it's basically the tool that you can run as a consumer or whatever on your own device if you want to upgrade faster than litigation hold is allowing you to do. So we noticed that or learned that this update assistant could actually be run with a script. It runs 100% silently. It will just download this small executable and run it locally, and then it will prompt the user after running this super simple script. Of course, you can also download it and using it in a package if you want to save the 15 whatever megabytes the download is. And then the pop-up warning is like this. This is the built-in tool. We don't have any control over that. So this is what the end user will see, that you are now on the latest version of Windows 10, and you need to restart your device, and that will give them 30 minutes, and there's no way to control or suppress that. But that's okay. We can live with that since it's only a very small set of devices. So I think that was actually a very great story of how you can actually troubleshoot this, and you can use different tools to get there. We have already started the journey to Windows 11, and Windows 11 is on these devices that were previously stuck, has actually been fixed now, so they are picking up Windows 11 pretty smooth. I'll show you that in just a second. We ended up with some devices that we just couldn't fix. Then we found this script also on the internet that actually is stopping every services and removing everything and rejoining, re-enrolling the device into Intune, and hopefully that will trigger everything to go smooth. It is actually working pretty well. We actually had a very high success rate on the few machines we tested this on, but this is absolutely not supported. But if you don't have the time, the energy, or it's not an option because end user is working remote or whatever, and you don't have the option to reset this device, then maybe this is a good option for you to actually do that. We started a Windows 11 upgrade this month on the first ring, and as you can see in the first ring we had like 750 devices. We started the rollout on March 10, and the status after 5 days, including a weekend, is like we are 172 devices success, 1 error and 1 rollback, which is super acceptable for the first test. This is the first ring, so this is also where we have all the people in IT and stuff like that. So that's really great. But that was Tuesday. I just took a screenshot this morning, or actually 1 hour ago, and as you can see, we are now up to 203 devices. The goal here is to be done with this test by the end of the month, and at the end of the month we will roll out Windows 11 to the ring 2, which is roughly 5,000 devices. And then ring 3 will be probably starting at the end of May. And the goal is to have every devices, 23,000 devices on Windows 11 by the end of August. So this is something that I really encourage you to look into and hopefully move away from legacy upgrading your devices. Jürgen, you'll just keep my. Well, we are
on time, so we should
I think this is it. Yeah.
Yes. We should maybe skip the Intune management extension.
Yeah, we will skip that
so
for next time.
For future use, yes, absolutely.
Yes. And we are always on time. And that's the good thing about having a slide deck that is so long that you will never make it to the end.
Yeah, something like that. So I hope there was some useful information today, and you learned something new. And if you want to talk about subscription-based activation, just let us know. But it's crazy that activation can be a problem still. It's like printers, right? It's still a challenge out there. So amazing.
Do we have anything in the chat? No.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think there are questions. If someone have question, you can talk directly.
Absolutely.
Thank you, by the way, guys. It was awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's always fun talking about stuff that's, you can talk about so much, for so long time. So, and try to focus on something that's useful and applicable in the real world for everyone as well. So I hope it was useful. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds cool. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of the session will be available on YouTube during the afternoon, approximately at 3 p.m., I think.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
I will share the link there.
Yeah.
YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn too.
If you'll send it directly to both Jürgen and I on an email, I think that will be highly appreciated.
Of course.
Oh, we'll see it on Twitter and everywhere as well, I assume. So that's
I know, but you only have until midnight.
Yeah. That's perfect.
That is. Okay. Thank you very much.
Guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. And until next time, have fun.
I'll use my stitched up thumb.
Have a nice day. And you're
good.
You too. Good luck with your kitchen.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.